Welcome to the Discourse Analyzer AI Toolkit, where articles come alive. You're listening to the audio version of our article. For the full text and an interactive experience, check out the link in the description below. Interact with any selection using our AI assistant to enhance your understanding. Let's explore.
Speech Act Theory in Discourse Analysis. Speech Act Theory is a foundational concept in discourse analysis that explores how language is used not just to convey information but to perform actions. Developed by philosopher J.L. Austin in the 1950s and later expanded by John Searle, Speech Act Theory examines the various ways in which utterances can function as actions in communication. This theory is crucial in discourse analysis because it helps to understand how people achieve different communicative goals through language. 1. Key concepts of Speech Act Theory: locutionary, illocutionary, and perlocutionary acts. Speech Act Theory categorizes the different aspects of an utterance into three types of acts. Locutionary act: the actual act of producing a specific utterance, including its phonetic, sound, phatic, structure, and rhetoric, meaning, components. This is essentially the act of saying something. Example: saying, "It's raining outside." Illocutionary act: the intention behind the utterance, or what the speaker intends to accomplish by saying something. This is the action performed by the utterance itself, such as informing, requesting, promising, or commanding. Example: saying, "It's raining outside," to inform someone about the weather; informing, to suggest they take an umbrella; suggesting, or to explain why the picnic is cancelled; explaining. Perlocutionary act: the effect the utterance has on the listener, such as persuading, frightening, or inspiring. This is the consequence or result of the illocutionary act. Example: after saying, "It's raining outside," the listener decides to bring an umbrella; persuading, feels disappointed about the cancelled picnic, causing disappointment, or rushes to close the windows, prompting action. Types of illocutionary acts. John Searle further categorized illocutionary acts into different types based on their function. Assertives: statements that convey information or describe the world, asserting something to be true or false. Example: the meeting starts at 10 a.m. Informing: directives: utterances intended to get the listener to do something, such as commands, requests, or suggestions. Example: could you pass the salt? Requesting. Commissives: utterances that commit the speaker to a future course of action, such as promises, offers, or vows. Example: I promise to call you tomorrow. Promising. Expressives: utterances that express the speaker's emotions or attitudes, such as apologies, congratulations, or thanks. Example: I'm sorry for being late. Apologizing. Declarations: utterances that change the state of affairs in the world by their very utterance, such as resigning, declaring war, or christening. Example: I now pronounce you husband and wife. Declaring. 2. Examples of speech acts in discourse analysis. Everyday conversation. In everyday discourse, speech acts are often used to achieve practical goals. Consider a simple exchange. Speaker A: can you open the window? Locutionary act: the speaker produces the utterance, "Can you open the window?" Illocutionary act: the speaker is making a request, directive. Perlocutionary act: the listener opens the window, or they might refuse. This example shows how the speaker uses a directive to prompt a specific action from the listener. Political discourse. In political discourse, speech acts can have significant social implications. For example, when a politician says, "Politician, I hereby resign from my position as Prime Minister." Locutionary act: the politician produces the statement of resignation. Illocutionary act: the act of resigning, declaration, changes the political status of the speaker. Perlocutionary act: the resignation affects the government, the political party, and the public, leading to various reactions and consequences. Here, the illocutionary act of resignation directly alters the political landscape. Legal discourse. In legal settings, declarations are particularly important. Consider a judge in a courtroom. Judge, I sentence you to 5 years in prison. Locutionary act: the judge utters the sentence. Illocutionary act. The judge declares a legal punishment, declaration. Perlocutionary act. The defendant is legally obligated to serve the prison sentence, and this affects their life and the legal process. This example demonstrates how legal language can have direct and immediate consequences through speech acts. Point 3. Importance of speech act theory in discourse analysis. Understanding pragmatic meaning. Speech act theory helps discourse analysts move beyond the literal meaning of words to understand the speaker's intentions and the pragmatic meaning of utterances. This is essential in contexts where what is said differs from what is meant, such as in irony, sarcasm, or indirect speech acts. Analyzing power and authority. In discourse analysis, speech act theory is valuable for examining how power and authority are exercised through language. For instance, who has the authority to make declarations, like a judge or a politician? And how does this authority shape the interaction? Cultural and social norms. Speech act theory also highlights how different cultures and social contexts influence the use and interpretation of speech acts. What is considered polite, authoritative, or appropriate can vary widely, and understanding these nuances is crucial for effective communication analysis. Conclusion. Speech act theory is a foundational tool in discourse analysis that provides a framework for understanding how language functions as a form of action. By categorizing utterances into locutionary, illocutionary, and perlocutionary acts, and analyzing different types of illocutionary acts, assertives, directives, commissives, expressives, and declarations, discourse analysts can explore the ways in which language is used to perform actions, convey intentions, and influence listeners. This approach is essential for understanding the complexities of communication in various social, political, and legal contexts. Frequently asked questions. What is speech act theory in discourse analysis? Speech act theory, developed by J. L. Austin and later expanded by John Searle, is a foundational concept in discourse analysis that explores how language is used to perform actions, not just to convey information. It examines how utterances function in communication, focusing on the intentions behind the words and the effects they have on listeners. What are the key components of a speech act? Speech acts are composed of three main components. Locutionary act. The act of producing a specific utterance, focusing on the actual words and their literal meaning. Illocutionary act. The intention behind the utterance, such as informing, requesting, or promising. Perlocutionary act. The effect the utterance has on the listener, such as persuading, comforting, or prompting an action. How are illocutionary acts categorized in speech act theory? John Searle categorized illocutionary acts into 5 types. Assertives. Statements that convey information or describe the world, asserting something to be true or false. Directives. Utterances intended to get the listener to do something, such as commands or requests. Commissives. Utterances that commit the speaker to a future course of action, like promises or vows. Expressives. Utterances that express the speaker's emotions or attitudes, such as apologies or congratulations. Declarations. Utterances that change the state of affairs by their very utterance, such as resigning or declaring war. How does speech act theory apply to everyday conversations? In everyday conversations, speech acts are used to achieve practical goals. For example, if someone says, "Can you open the window?" the locutionary act is the literal request, the illocutionary act is the intention to request action, and the perlocutionary act is whether the listener opens the window or not. How is speech act theory relevant in political discourse? In political discourse, speech acts can have significant consequences. For example, when a politician says, "I hereby resign," the illocutionary act is the act of resigning, which directly alters the political situation, and the perlocutionary act includes the various reactions and consequences that follow. What role does speech act theory play in legal discourse? In legal discourse, speech acts are often used to enact decisions and enforce laws. For example, when a judge says, "I sentence you to 5 years in prison," the illocutionary act is the legal declaration of a sentence, and the perlocutionary act is the legal obligation for the defendant to serve the sentence, which significantly impacts their life. Why is understanding pragmatic meaning important in discourse analysis? Understanding pragmatic meaning is crucial because it allows discourse analysts to move beyond the literal meaning of words to grasp the speaker's intentions and the context in which the utterance is made. This is particularly important in understanding indirect speech, irony, or sarcasm. How does speech act theory help analyze power and authority in discourse? Speech act theory is valuable for examining how power and authority are exercised through language. For example, only certain individuals, like judges or politicians, have the authority to make declarations that can change social or legal realities. Analyzing these acts helps understand the role of language in maintaining or challenging power structures. How do cultural and social norms influence speech acts? Cultural and social norms significantly influence how speech acts are used and interpreted. Different cultures may have varying expectations of politeness, authority, or appropriateness, and understanding these norms is essential for effective communication analysis in different contexts. What is the significance of speech act theory in discourse analysis? Speech act theory provides a comprehensive framework for understanding how language functions as a form of action. By analyzing locutionary, illocutionary, and perlocutionary acts, discourse analysts can explore how language is used to perform actions, convey intentions, and influence listeners. This approach is essential for understanding the complexities of communication in various social, political, and legal contexts.